Another game that I'm kind of interested in, which I had actually a chance to buy like yesterday, and I didn't buy it because I'm not sure. So this is one I just want to try at Gen Con and then maybe buy later, is Mystic Vale. It's kind of a unique card game where the cards are in a sleeve and you put pieces of the card in there, so you're kind of building the cards. I'm not sold on this concept. I think it's going to be clunky and weird, and so I am going to try to play it at Gen Con and buy a copy if I like it there, or if not, buy it after the fact or anything. Like I said, it came out yesterday and I could have bought a copy, but I did not. I'm reserving my purchase until I get a chance to try it out. It could go either way for me.
It's an interesting idea to have a sleeve that gives you that sort of versatility. Like when you described it, I kind of thought it sounds like a really interesting mechanism. I hope it works.
Well, the people who I know who have played it, some of the things that they have said is that the icons are really small on the little pieces because you have like 3 cards in one, and that the sleeves are kind of shiny and they make it hard to read the card and stuff. So I think this is a good concept, but I don't know how well they've done it, and so I'd like to kind of see. So
the first time I heard about legacy games where you're permanently putting stickers on your board and stuff like that, I thought this is crazy, and people love it. So it's been like a really great concept. So hopefully, if it doesn't quite work for Mystic Vale, maybe somebody will refine it and do a better job with that idea.
Yeah, and if you're into the legacy game, Seafall is supposed to be a really amazing legacy game. I'm not a big legacy game guy. Unfortunately, I play a game like 5 or 6 times. I'm ready to move on, and we've had trouble. We've played episodic games. The game group that me and John are in, we're in a game group of professors from a university, and we play episodic games. We played the Pathfinder's card game for a long time, Myth for a long time, and we managed to actually play the same game over and over for months, and that's rare. My game group, you cannot do that with, and they're not willing to sink 7 Saturdays in a row into one game. It's just not going to happen. So I really don't play a lot of those games. I've never played. In fact, I've never played a legacy game. Maybe Seafall will change my mind if I get a chance to play it or test it or something. But I'm not clamoring for it, and I don't plan on buying it at Gen Con. The next game on my list is the Bloodborne card game. I just found out about this a couple days ago. My son is absolutely insane for Bloodborne. All the iterations of it. I've gone to his house. I've watched him play. It looks like the most frustrating, terrible game that I've ever seen in my life. I like video games. I'm playing Fallout 4 now. I play like Dragon Age and those kind of games. Love them. That game looks like you would just throw the controller through the television set. I mean, it is just, I watch him. He plays the game and dies, and then plays the game and dies, and plays the game and dies. In fact, we got him a poster for Christmas that says something like Bloodborne, prepare to die. Again and again and again and again, and so it was just kind of a joke. But Eric Lang's doing this card game, and I respect some of the games he's done, and so I want to try it. If it's as hard as the video game, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to be frustrated. I think it's a kind of a. I've heard it's kind of a cooperative / screw your neighbor game, kind of like the Smirk and Dagger. What's the one?
Cutthroat
Caverns. Yeah, and so
Munchkin, I guess, to a degree.
Munchkin. But anyway,
they massacred that guy on Reddit. They just ripped into the designer of that, and I think it was like people like your son who were really, really loved the video game, and there were some game design choices he made that they were very upset about.
Now, was it this game or the other? Now, see, here's the problem: is there's 2 games. So they just kickstarted. I don't think it. I think it was not called Blood. See, there's Bloodborne, and then there's something Souls. There's 3 different games that are kind of in the same genre, and they kickstarted another game that wasn't the card game, and I think that got a lot of a lot of the gamers were like putting it down. I saw a lot of really bad reviews from gamers, so it may be that other game that you saw. Demon Souls or something like that. I don't know, but they're all in the same genre, so who knows? I want to check this out. Eric Lang is a great designer, so I'll be surprised if he puts out a crappy game, but any designer can put out a crappy game. I mean, he's not Superman. Blood Rage is a great game, and some of the other games he's put out are great games, so I'm assuming this will be a good game, but if it's tough, if it's super tough, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't play games to be frustrated. So if that's what it's going to do to me, then I'll play a different game. So, I am interested in going and looking at the Mighty Meeples. I don't even remember who put these out, but they made these Meeples that are actually superheroes, and one of the superheroes is Aquaman. I'm a huge Aquaman fan, so I don't want to please don't put reviews down there saying Aquaman sucks because it hurts my feelings. So, but I want to get a little Meeple of Aquaman. I have a huge Aquaman collection, so that tells you that you know at this point you might want to turn off the video and never watch me again if you hate Aquaman. So. I do want to check those out. Another game that looks interesting to me that I just found out about was Hit Z Road. The Z stands for zombie. It's a card game where you're...
Finally a zombie game.
Yeah, I know.
Finally.
I mean, we just really... we don't have enough of those. One of the intriguing things about this game, though, is that the game is actually based on Route 66, which goes right through here. We live in Illinois.
The original place I bought here was on Route 66.
Right.
So it was like residential, but technically it was Route 66.
So this game, you were actually traveling Route 66, and I'm kind of hoping that there's I'm actually hoping that there's real landmarks on that game that actually are around here. The only good thing about living in Illinois is Route 66. Other than that, it sucks. So, so anyway, I'm kind of interested in that game. I'd like to see some of the artwork and see if that's actually Route 66, or they just said, oh, this is Route 66. But I know Route 66 goes all the way across the country, so I don't know if there's going to be anything around here or not. But I'm interested in that game. It looks like a kind of a fun, quick zombie card game. And, you know, I want to check it out. The next game is Clank. It is a deck building game where it sounds like you're going through a dungeon, but you got to be quiet. Because there's a sleeping dragon at the end, and the more noise you make, the more chance you wake up the dragon.
Right.
This looks interesting. I definitely want to see it. I want to check it out and see what what it is, and if it looks cool. If it's cheap, might buy it. Might wait. So, of course, one of the ones that I'm interested in is Transforming Mars. That game is going to sell out probably within the first hour. I won't even see that game, but maybe I can see a demo. That's supposed to be a really heavy Euro game about actually terraforming Mars. It's actually called Terraforming Mars, not Transforming Mars. Terraforming Mars. So I like heavy Euro games. I like to have them in my collection because my game group likes them. So it's one that I definitely want to check out. Not sure if I'm going to be able to even see a copy, but we'll see. Next game, I only got 2 games left. The next game is just a game that's intriguing to me. It's The Crow, Devil's Night. I actually think it's called The Crow Fired Up, which is what they would say on Devil's Night. My favorite movie of all time is The Crow. And so I love that movie. I don't know if they're going to do any good for the IP. The IP has been completely, destroyed with the sequels. I mean, the original movie was a great movie. The sequels were crap. So they've not made a good Crow sequel. So if this game sucks, I don't think it's going to destroy the IP in any way that it hasn't been destroyed by the sequels. But I want to check it out and see what it is, because I do love The Crow. And for the theme alone, I might be interested in just having the game. I have the Castle game. I love Castle. And I have the Castle game. It's up here someplace. And we play it every once in a while, but it's not a great game. But I love Castle, so I like to just have the game because the theme is something that I enjoy. So, last thing on my list is a small expansion for Bang, the dice game. I like Bang, the dice game. We play that quite often at our game group, and so they actually have a small expansion for Bang, the dice game. So it's probably going to be cheap. How can you go wrong? So I'll probably pick up a copy of that if it looks any good. So. And that's actually the end of my list. So, John, what are you looking forward to?
So a couple of things I did last year that I thought were good experiences. I'm not going to do them again, but one was the True Dungeon. And so the idea behind this, and it's got increasingly sophisticated over the years, but you make a character with these kind of like plastic kind of poker chip things. And with a group of characters, you go through something that's supposed to be like going through a dungeon crawl in Dungeons and Dragons, except it's all live, and they have different ways to resolve things where you'll sort of throw beanbags and try to memorize leaves and weird things. And so it was an interesting experience last year. It was pretty pricey. I think it was $80 or something to kind of go through this thing. But it was pretty elaborate. They'd done these really nice kind of sets and really done up the rooms. And in each room that you'd go through, often there'd be somebody dressed up like a monster there. And it was an interesting experience the first time. The biggest issue I had with it is it's just that most of the people who are there have been doing it for years. They know exactly what's going on. We did a pickup group with these people who had already done the dungeon that we were going through.
Oh, yeah.
And so they knew all the answers to all of the puzzles, and they were basically just grinding through it for whatever reason to get some more plastic chips and stuff like that.
That doesn't seem like any fun.
And so I think it would be fun if you had a group of all of your friends, if you could fill the entire party up with people at the same level.
Yeah.
But I don't know, 7 other people or whatever who want to do it, or who would want to do it at the same time.
So it's kind of like going through a dungeon and you're a first level character and they're like a 50.
Exactly.
So at least you're at least getting some kind of a role playing aspect to it.
Yes, but literally it's like that. Both our characters were like really crappy compared to their characters, which were way better.
Yeah.
And we had no idea what was happening, and they knew exactly what to do. So I'd kind of say that anybody who thinks it looks kind of interesting, do it once. I think it's a pretty small minority of people who are going to be doing True Dungeon year after year after year after year. The other thing that I did...
Oh, and one thing about True Dungeon before you go past,
Yeah.
I want to note that I'm pretty sure this year True Dungeon is not in the convention center.
Right.
I think they've moved it to Lucas Oil Stadium. So if you're going there and you're looking for True Dungeon, I'm pretty sure it's in Lucas Oil Stadium, which may be good because it might be bigger than it was last year.
Right.
So
right, and that'll be good if they've kind of built it. I'd love it if True Dungeon had kind of like a newbie thing, where either you could sign up in newbie groups, people who've never done it before, or if they did sort of like an easier version of the dungeon for first timers. And I didn't really, maybe they had something like that, but
and they should do something like that, just like a remember the old modules for Dungeons and Dragons? It'd be like, this is a level 1 to 5 module.
Yes.
They should have that, even if nothing really changes, because the experience for somebody who's never done it or who's done it once maybe is going to be different than a person who's done it 10 times, right?
Well, and they kind of have that they have like different levels, difficulty levels you can choose when you go into the dungeon. And so you can make it harder or easier. And the harder it is, the better the rewards are. The easier it is, the worse the rewards are. But again, that was sort of kind of troublesome, that we wanted an easier dungeon because it was our first time doing it.
And the people.
And they wanted a harder dungeon. So that was even kind of a conflict as well. And the people who'd done it before were really nice. They kind of said, pick whatever difficulty level you want, and we're okay with that. But we kind of felt that they'd all paid $80.
Yeah,
and then,
exactly.
We kind of pulled back the rewards they were getting.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a little unfortunate. The other thing that I did that was like a little bit kind of funny, and I guess it really gets back to the origins of Gencon, but I actually signed up for a couple Dungeons and Dragons games. And so you sat down in a group with these kind of dungeon masters, and you kind of played through kind of like old school Dungeons and Dragons. And it was just kind of weird because you're like role-playing with these people you've never met before, so you're just slapped together. And the sessions, the one I signed up for was a shorter one, so it was like a 2-hour session or whatever. And you can't really do anything in 2 hours. And so I did that, and it was kind of interesting. I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons since like high school. Like it's been like 20 years since I role-played. And it was kind of interesting to get a taste of that again and kind of see that again. But it wasn't something I was really in a hurry to do again.
Yeah. Several years ago, I went to a conference and I actually signed up for Dungeons and Dragons with Wizards of the Coast. They were putting on a Dungeons and Dragons thing, and I said, hey, this will be cool because now I'm going to see all the things that we do wrong when we played Dungeons and Dragons when we were in high school.
Right.
I was like, we'll have a professional dungeon master. This will be awesome.
Sure.
I went and played. It was exactly the same.
Sure.
There was no difference. I thought, after I left there, I was like, okay, this game is this game. There's nothing more crazy to it. I mean, so I thought that was quite funny, though, that I had this expectation that, some wonderful dungeon master was going to make it such a magical experience, and then it was just the same game.
That's funny. Yeah. And so those were the kind of experiences that I did that I think were good one time. I'm probably not going to repeat them again. One thing that I kind of found was somewhat worthwhile, and you might be a tough sell on this, but I think sometimes it's worthwhile taking a little bit of a break from Gen Con. Some people say that it's good to leave the facilities, the places where you can eat. The restaurants are all really expensive and the food isn't very good. And so kind of leaving Gen Con a couple times a day for a meal, even if it means going and sitting down and ordering and you're gone for 45 minutes or an hour, it can be nice to just take a bit of a break from it. And last year, my wife and I actually went to go see a movie. You know, it was in the middle of Gen Con and we just went out and we went to go see a movie. And we're talking about doing that this year with Suicide Squad. We really want to see that. And so even though we're going to be in the middle of Gen Con with limited time, we're going to go see Suicide Squad. And I think that's kind of a worthwhile thing. I think you can kind of ruin the experience for yourself if you try to squeeze every drop of Gen Con out of the convention. Whereas if you're kind of feeling worn down, you want to take a little bit of a break from things, I think it's worthwhile taking a break.
Yeah. I will say that when you're at Gen Con, it's sensory overload. I mean, you're hearing stuff, you're seeing stuff, you're witnessing stuff, you're getting excited about stuff. I mean, you're just on this, if you're into board games, you are on this geek high, we call it geek wine, we're drinking the geek wine. And the thing is, it actually, after a while, it starts to wear you down. Yeah. And so it is nice last year we went to a restaurant, got away from there, for a couple of hours, hung out. One thing I will say, don't play board games in a restaurant. I see people doing that, and the restaurants are trying to make money. Yeah. They're trying to get you in, get you out. There are gaming tables at Gen Con. Don't be rude. Yeah. Unless you're in a restaurant that's just totally dead and there's nobody there. But when we were there were people just clamoring to get in there to eat. So, but get to go to a restaurant, enjoy your friends, talk about what you saw that day. Just get away from the craziness, because Gen Con is insane. Yeah. I mean, there are tons and tons of people there, and there's things going on, huge robots and Pokemon and blah blah blah. There's just a ton of stuff going on. So, get away for a little while. We've got a hotel room this year on the right there. Last year, I stayed at a relative's house and drove in every day, and John stayed pretty far off campus and took an Uber in every day.
And that worked really well. If there's somebody 5 days before Gen Con, if you're like, oh geez, I didn't get a hotel, it's not the end of the world. Just get one kind of as close as you can get, but if it's 1.5 miles or 2 miles away, that's not the end of the world. And just every day take an Uber in, take an Uber back out, you'll pay $5 or $10 each way, and they probably pay way less than we were paying for the hotel room.
Yeah, definitely.
Even with
definitely
the Uber.
Pay way less.
So,
but the thing is, I'm looking forward to it this year because we can go take a nap. Yeah. And it's like, I'm tired. I'm gonna go take a nap, come back, play some more games. So anyway, so that's kind of the thing that I'm looking forward to. We may do this year with the closed hotel and say it wasn't really worth the money, and next year go back to driving in. So we don't know. So we're gonna check that out. Yeah. And next year we'll tell you. Whether or not it was a good thing. Maybe even after Gen Con. We might do a video like this after Gen Con so that we can say what we did, and what we experienced, and what we enjoyed, and how our hotel experience worked out. So, you got anything else you want to add?
I think we've covered it all.
So, I want to say this before we get off here. My name's Tom. This is John. When you see us at Gen Con, come up and say, hi Tom, hi John, and it will freak us out because we won't know who you are.
Right.
You'll know who we are, but we don't know who you are.
Right.
And so we'll be like, do we know that guy? Did I just forget him? So if you want to mess with us, you can do that.
We'll say they're one of the 13 people who watched this video.
Yeah, exactly. So you can say, hey, we watched your video, and we'll say, well, at least somebody knows who we are. So we are not famous. I am not Tom Vassell, so I'm Tom Sidener. Okay, so anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some insight. I hope you guys are going to Gen Con, and I hope you're excited about going, and we are excited to go, and hopefully we'll see you there. Have a lot of fun. Be safe. Play a ton of board games, right?
Sounds good.
See you later. Bye.